Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be focusing on the financial goals hop that I am participating in. This was started by Donna Power by Creativity, as well as Budget on Mama Bear and the Traveling and Saving Chief with Andra. So this is something that they started so that we could, deliver content to you guys regarding our financial goals for each quarter and seeing where we started at the beginning to hopefully hit our goals at the end of the year. It takes a lot of tweaking and adjusting as time goes on, but that is what we're going to be doing today, going over my Q3 financial goals. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Jack with My Girl Budgeting, and on today we're diving into my third quarter financials reflection. It is part of the hop, the village hop with Donna Power by Creativity, and so I'm going to go over how things actually played out after starting a new job earlier this year, adjusting to a new pay schedule, and what I've been focusing on in this time. So spoiler alert, quarter three was really about cleaning things up and catching up, and now I've got some solid plans heading into quarter four and the new year. So if you remember back in Q4 or Q2, I started a new job, and that came with a completely different pay schedule. Honestly, it threw me off more than I expected. I had to relearn my timing on bills, what weeks I'd actually have money coming in, and how to stretch in between. That actually meant a lot of quarter three was going to be about stabilizing, catching up on bills that had slipped through the cracks, and just getting myself back into the rhythm of my pay schedule. So quarter three wasn't glamorous at all. It wasn't about big debt payoffs or stacking savings. It was really about maintenance. I focused on making sure every bill was current, fixing my budget around the new pay schedule, owning my mistakes like not saving as much as I should have and wanted to, and letting my budgeting routine slip at times. And I had to remind myself it's okay if this quarter wasn't about big leaps. Sometimes the win is just getting steady again. And so that's where my mindset shifted at that time. Honestly, it was humbling, but also motivating. I realized if I can use an entire quarter just to clean things up, that means I'm laying the groundwork for bigger moves later. I had to give myself grace while also holding myself accountable, and that was a big step for me. It was a struggle, and I will say I felt it, and I'm still, trying to maintain that balance. Now, heading into Q4, my mindset is different. I want to do more than just catch up. I want to get ahead of everything, all my bills. That means setting aside a buffer for bills, so I'm not scrambling paycheck to paycheck, and that has been a blessing in disguise when I've actually started doing that. And then also just not scrambling, for the holidays. Getting my budget habits back consistent, tracking every week, not just when things got messy. So that's been a big step for me, and I'll go through that here short after this. This quarter is all about positioning myself so when 2026 starts, I can actually focus on debt instead of just survival. So this whole quarter three, I have been on survival mode, and just staying at, trying to maintain, my bills and staying on track with that. So my big goal is to make debt the priority in the new year. Q4 is basically my runway. If I can keep my bills current, build that buffer, and go into January with a little momentum, then I can finally start hitting my debt balances harder without the fear of falling behind. So that is going to be a big thing for me. I'm looking forward to 2026 being able to do that if I'm still continuing going down that path. So that's where I'm at in Q3. At this time, that's where my mindset is. That's where, it was about cleaning up everything, getting on a schedule, my payment schedule, for me and my payment schedule to align with each other so that I can focus on the bigger goals at hand, which will definitely be about my paying off that debt in the new year. Well, the start of the new year. So that's what we're going to go into right now. I'll go over, the past quarters and discuss that. And then I got a few things that I'm going to show you guys on how I've been maintaining that and where I feel I am getting better and better at. So this was our Smart Goals Planner. I kept it pretty much the same when we started this. This was given by Andra from the Traveling and Saving Chief. She provided this for us. And so my specific SMART goals were to pay down debt, which that never was able. I maintained it. I mean, I paid on time, the minimum, but I never was able to get down debt. I may have made a little, progress, but it wasn't significant enough to say that I paid it a lot down, which it is still, a work in progress. And it's not that it fell to me. It's just a learning experience to go through. And then I did have where I had 3,000 subs. I adjusted that down to 1,500 by the end of this year, which I'm still currently working on. Please hit that subscribe, guys. Help me hit my goal for this year. And then also do a solo trip. I had planned on doing a solo trip through the summer, but due to all the financial changes and changing of jobs, it just wasn't happening. And then also just building my Builds business. That is still being worked on. So, and then my debt confession, I still haven't done that. That will probably be for the new year, as I am going to be working on that for 2026. And then I've been working on getting with the community more and more, save money to make a trip, which I have been working on saving money for a trip next year, and then going live. So I have been maintaining going live this quarter, and I continue on my Thursdays. I do go live Thursday evenings and do group plays, and we do fun things on my lives. And then for just clean up my, to work on debt and so on and so forth. It was to clean up credit rating, cut spending back, stay on track to save and pay on schedule. And then the relevance of it will cause the domino effect to reach those goals. The domino effect so far in this quarter is that as I've been cleaning up where I fell behind as far as bills, they were 2-3 weeks behind. When I started my job, I got 3 weeks behind on my bills. I made a lot of calls during that time to, hey, payment is coming. I wanted to stay good on, communication with all of those, financial lovely people on my bills, but I did maintain that. And so I am seeing that domino effect as time has gone on, and the way I've transitioned my mindset on budgeting and tracking and everything, it has started to show the domino effect. Whereas I was 3 weeks behind when I started my job back in May, and it's now I am currently, hitting around 1 week behind on not everything. It's only a few bills that I'm 1 week behind. It's probably 1 or 2 bills that I'm probably 1 week behind, maybe. But I'll go into that here shortly as far as my goals. And then just maintain my, this throughout the year. So this again was provided by Andra at the Traveling and Saving Chief, and she would do the hot topics up and through, I think July is when she stopped doing that, because of course she retired and so on. So she's been doing awesome, and I mean she's got her a hand on where she's going in her journey, so while retiring. So all right, so we're going to go into 2025 goals. This was provided by Budget with Mama Bear Steph. So I did, write in some additional stuff that I'm working on. I'm still working on losing 16 pounds with my job. Providing us daily lunch. Like, we can eat anywhere pretty much, guys, and it's provided to us. That put me on the setback. So I did gain at least 4 pounds, I believe. So now I'm at 20. So, but I'm losing it now. That was last month for sure. And so I'm making sure I'm not going crazy on that. Walking, I am doing my walks on a weekly basis. I try to do 1 to 3 miles a week, and this past week I didn't. I was just more about, I have some things coming up this month, so I'm working on that stuff. And it's more of a vendor show. I'm going to be doing a vendor show more this month, and so I'm working on my weekends to basically focus on that for this month. So it started this past weekend, and it will be going on, throughout the month. I am back on my vegan meals. I've cut meat back out, and not that I ate a lot of meat, but I do tend to eat more like fish, and I'm very limited on the chicken, but I am back on track with eating vegan and making those meals. Let's see. I haven't been able to visit family here lately, just because I'm on a time crunch to get my goals done, to focus on a lot of things that I have planned to finish out the year, and then hopefully start fresh with the new year. Travel will hopefully, I do plan on traveling next year, so that is not going to happen this year, but it's not that it's out of the works. It will happen in the new year, in which I do plan on going, and that will come as time. I will give you guys more insight on that as the year comes in. And then personal, this is something I added here more recently. Self-reflect and get mindset better. Once you hit those hurdles, those bumps in the road, I've found myself getting into a mindset, not in the negative, not toward negativity, but I would just really come down on myself very hard. Like I know I was causing myself to be in depression mode. It was getting to that point. And so this past month towards September, I started shifting that. And so that's something that, I don't take lightly, and I don't, try to get down that road again, because I've been down a heavy road with that, and I don't ever want to get there, and it's always going to be a work for me, So I've been self-reflecting, looking at things a little bit different perspective, and trying to maintain relationships that I need, so that I stay in that uplifting mood, giving myself daily affirmations, deep breathing to control my anxiety, and just giving myself that grace, and also just, pep talk of don't give up. And I don't want to, I want my kids, and I want my grandbabies to, see that I never gave up, and I had never given up. I've always been very strong, but my mindset is where I struggle. So I've been still doing painting, on my hobbies, and, that really helps me with my whole mindset, that when I paint, I can completely zone out, and it also puts me into I do fantasy art, or canvases that are based off of fantasy landscapes and so on and so forth. So I love going off in that world, and so it helps me. Financial is just working on credit repair. That is the whole year. With my daughter not working, she is now on the pay schedule. She is now getting money. My credit has been shot because of me trying to maintain her, things that to help, adjust. And then vendor show, like I said, I'm going to be doing vendor shows this month, and then a budget class. I do still plan on doing a budgeting class in the new year, probably. That's just not been something. I need to work on my budget to be able to teach budgeting, and that's one thing I've been working on, and you guys will see here shortly. And then I just socialize, dinner with friends, maintaining my relationships with the community of budgeting. I really feel like a strong connection to a lot of people in the budgeting world, and I do love, I even talked to Madi the other day, and I even told her, I was like, I think I have more interaction with my budgeting family than I do with my actual family and friends. So at this point, I'm, and it's not to say that that's bad. It's not. But I do have my dinners, and with my friends, and I do see my sister, we do get together. So, and then I'm just we're still going to be working on my Pink Zebra business. That is my home fragrance. It's like Etsy. I don't want to say that, but not Etsy. Scentsy. But it is non-toxic. So I love this brand, and I stick with this brand. And then I'm just building on my YouTube channel, and then rebranding. So in October 2025, I decided to do a rebranding of everything I do as far as my savings. I'm still, maintaining doing savings, especially if I create something, I want to put it out there, and I enjoy doing that. But I am going to be rebranding my aesthetic, I guess you can say, on my savings challenges, my budgeting. Everything is going to be totally different, and I hope to bring you guys along with that in that journey. So that is something I'm going to plan on doing. And then my quarter goals. So for quarter 3, back in July, I was focused on creating more savings, CDs, and then working on credit score for July. That kind of shifted a lot because the CD, I did put a pause on that. So I was doing them on a monthly basis, starting at $10 CD for each month. I did not do for August, September, or October. Hopefully in January, or hopefully now that my daughter's back on track with her, funds and finance and, getting a paycheck, I can now focus on my building back all of that stuff back. And then work through bills and just game plan how I do my bills now. So one thing I did do on my bills was I started tracking more. So this is me doing my monthly tracking. This was for September. So this was my calendar for my bills, everything I paid for that month. And then this was me tracking my, me spending on eating out, meal planning. Everything in yellow was meal planning. And then my savings that I have here on my little savings deposit slips. And then again, it was just mostly staying on track of budgeting everything. I budgeted everything, guys. It's been helpful. This was me, budgeting my cash, whether it was my expenses, my variable expenses, my wallet. Everything was being tracked. And I'm with cash, it's been a little bit harder to adjust because I pull that money, it's already accounted for because I've already, budgeted it into my, budget sheet. And I've not tracked it completely, but it's a work in progress. And then this was me, since July or August is when I started doing this, where I was tracking all my spending. And I was categorizing all of them, everything from my bills, from anything that I was spending for that month. I was tracking everything and categorizing it and making sure, I was budgeting. That is what's helped me, was doing this, tracking my expenses for each month. And it was allowing me to be able to categorize each of those expenses and then budget for the next month of what I plan to pay and how to make sure I get ahead on those bills. So this is my spending tracker to, budget my debt, my subscription, utilities, everything I was tracking on my spending. And then it helped me go into to prepare myself for, and these are monthly, guys. I mean, I do these on a monthly basis. This again from July, and it's every month I'm tweaking it up. I'm making sure, where I made mistakes the previous month, I'm making sure I, learn from that and then carry it on, making those adjustments as I need. So this is my October one. So this is ready and prepared for October. I need to haul it all the way up to the month, but I have been eating at home except Friday. We did eat out, but that was treated, so that was a treated meal. So that was not money I spent. But I do have my cash tracker here. Anytime I pull cash, I'm tracking it this way from my bank, and then also my cash teller, then my budget sheets, my monthly meal plan. This is just so I can write out meals that I'm gonna plan out. And yeah, I need to maintain this a little bit better, but it's a work in progress. And then of course we got our cash expense tracker. So this is just me being able to make those adjustments as I needed to for the month and for the quarter, and being able to, work on getting all my bills back on track for that third quarter. That's all it was cleanup. And I am getting there. I'm getting better at it. This month I do think I'm going to be right where I need to be. And then next month I think I'm going to be pushing forward to finish off the year where I'm at least 2 weeks ahead on my bills. So that is, the buffer is what has really helped too. You know, writing out my spending tracker and spending category and setting that goal, those goals, those budgets for each of those categories has really helped me to, you know, stay ahead of the game and make that buffer where I need it to be, so that I have those bills covered for the time that I don't have money coming in at that moment, you know, because I do get paid on the 15th and 30th. That really has shifted my mindset so much. And so that is something that I'm just continuously learning and working through. But that, guys, that is pretty much it. As far as for that, I will say, you know, this was also provided by Donna, Powered by Creativity, quarterly financial goals. And that pretty much is the same thing that I just went through. As far as like pushing forward more savings for November, stay on track with my spending, track my bills weekly. That is something that I'm doing on a weekly basis. Let's see. And I already went through rebranding. Doing side hustles more this month, for the holiday. And then I just plan on in December finish the year strong, be ahead of bills 2 weeks, stay on tracking, close out year with a plan to save more this month, so I can go into the new year with that mindset that I'm going to save more and more at that point. And so that is something that is just going to be ongoing for me. And then, of course, I still have my high yield savings. It is currently, you know, $26.93. I did pull that money back in April because of, you know, my car issue. If you guys didn't miss that live, I did a live on that. And then, but I did leave some money in there, and it is still building interest as it can. And then credit score is really maintained around the same amount all year that I started this. I started back in March. So it's still, you know, it's still not where I want it to be after this month. My goal is to be over that hurdle and hopefully be able to show you guys that I did go up in October. And it's getting better. It's going to get better. And that is pretty much it, guys. That is where I'm at currently in going into Q4, finishing off the year strong. But yes, guys, thanks for following my journey. And, you know, as Q3 was about cleanup, Q4 is about prep, and 2026 is about attack mode on my debt. So that is where I'm going into my mindset. That's where I'm gonna, you know, head. And if you're in a season where it feels like you're just catching up, don't be discouraged by that. But please don't be discouraged. Sometimes that season is necessary before you can really move forward. And thanks for following along my journey. Like I said, if you're working on your own financial goals, drop a comment and let me know what your focus is for this last quarter of the year. And of course, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stick around for more updates as time goes on. And yeah, that is it, guys. But much love, and I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to go check out, if you missed this past Saturday, before I forget, if you missed Saturday, it was Nikki with Dragonfly Saves. Sunday, which is tomorrow, is Save with Judy. And then we have Thursday, She Persisted, Budgeting and Saving. And then Leela Budgets on Friday with the Queen's Budget on Saturday. So look forward to seeing you guys on those videos. And also, you can all get the calendar from Donna, Powered by Creativity. She does have that available, so you guys can keep track of who's doing what. Take notes, guys. Get, you know, inspired by all these lovely individuals who are, you know, putting themselves out there, being transparent, you know, with you about their finances, about where they had setbacks, goals, met, you know, and so on and so forth. And just, you know, show some love. And don't forget, you can always leave a comment, you know, where you're at in your own journey, and, you know, always reach out if you know, need a helping hand in guidance, or, you know, just some feedback. I love whenever I get those emails that say, hey, you know, Jack, can you help me with this, or how do you feel about this, you know? So feel free. But bye for now, guys.